Hello, Bryan Eisenberg. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
So many years that I wanted to talk to you. I read a lot of your books, and I'm really happy to have you here on Web Marketing and Com. And today we are going to talk about the 4 secret pillars. They're not secrets anymore, of the success of Amazon. You know, we're going to talk about how Amazon reached its success and how we can apply it to a small business or for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So let me introduce you for those, because here we're like a French site and there's a lot of French speaking people. And by the way, I want to tell to people who are watching this that if by any chance you're not able to understand everything because your English is not really good, you can go on YouTube. We're going to put the interview on YouTube, and I think there's like an automatic translation, right? So they're going to be able to see that interview with subtitle in French, okay? Let me introduce you to Bryan Eisenberg. Bryan is internationally recognized, and he's been a pioneer. God, my English is not good anymore. I didn't speak English for a long time, so excuse my English. So you're a pioneer of online marketing, basically, and I've known about you for like more than 10 years. You've been one of the first one who was talking about like conversion rate and funnels and A/B testing, and I even have like, I remember like 10 years ago I was reading those books, and just before everyone was talking about it. And you've wrote like, I don't know how many books, like how many books did you write?
This is number 6 now.
Okay, so amazing book for those who didn't read them. You know, it's how to create a call to action and waiting for your cat to bark, always be testing, and Buyer's Legend, which we're going to talk a little bit in this show. You've been named by one of the top 10 user experience gurus. You've been named by LinkedIn as a retail influencer. You're an IBM futurist. You've been named top 25 marketers from iMedia. And of course, you are everywhere in the press in the States and internationally. And you've been featured in New York Times and Wall Street Journal and CNN, etc., etc. There's so many things that obviously I'm not going to name them all. And your clients, you've had your clients, they've been Google, Dell, HP, NBC, Universal, General Electric, names, okay? So you've been around for a very long time. Not that you're old, you just, you know, you started early and you've taught us a lot of things. And I wanted to talk about your new book, which is called, I'll let you give us the title. It's going to be better because my English is not so good. So go ahead.
It's Be Like Amazon. Even a lemonade stand can do it.
Okay, so that's great because, you know, it fits for small businesses and entrepreneurs as well. By the way, do you speak French?
I don't. I speak Spanish. My parents were from Argentina originally.
No, okay, no. So that wouldn't work.
Definitely was not spoken at home.
Okay, so let's just stay in English. Okay, so this book is really amazing, guys. You should read it. I read it in like 2 hours. It's not a big book, and it's really inspiring, and it's the story. Basically, it's not like every business book that we read. It's the story of a young man with an old man, which I couldn't understand if it was the father or the grandfather.
We're not telling.
We're not telling anyway. And basically, they're on a road trip and they're talking about business. And it's just like it evolves. It's like a road trip story. Okay, so you don't have the impression that, you know, you're reading a business book. So in the story, I let you maybe introduce the story, and then we'll go through the 4 pillars.
Yes, we're listening to Pooh, which is the older gentleman, speak to Sunshine. And Sunshine's having some problems with his business. It's not growing the way he wants it to. And Pooh starts explaining to him about some of the universal principles that tie businesses together, what really makes them work, whether they're big businesses or small businesses. And we'll go through a little bit of the history of Walmart and Kodak and, you know, people are amazed to find out that Kodak actually invented the digital camera many, many years before anybody else did.
I didn't know that. I learned that in the book. I have no idea.
Well, what the scarier part is that the CEO at the time said, you know, it's a great invention, but we're in the film business. And they forgot what business they were actually in, unfortunately. And so as soon as they forgot that, we know what happened to Kodak, right? So, yeah. But we go through this and we break down looking at examples from smaller businesses, everything from people who, you know, do services like heating and air conditioning in people's homes, to jewelry stores. It really ranges. And how any business can leverage these simple 4 pillars. You know, management has changed, and how we run a company today has to change for the reality of the world today. And no one's done it better than Jeff Bezos to have the kind of explosive growth and realistic growth that we could all experience. Okay, so basically now we're going to talk about these 4 pillars. Do I say that correctly? Correct. Yep. These 4 pillars that Jeff Bezos from Amazon used or invented. Did he invent it? Not really, because tell us. Yeah, it's interesting. So he had talked with Jim Collins originally. Jim Collins had talked about these same 4 pillars. They called them something differently. Just tell us, who is Jim Collins? He wrote the book Good to Great. He was a management consultant. And these concepts, they've been called different things, but the way Amazon puts them together, and there are 2 things that make it work so much more successfully today than ever before, which we can touch on for sure. But companies like GE Healthcare, any companies that you've seen successful for generations, tend to apply these 4 pillars. The reason GE can reinvent themselves is because they become a learning organization, an adaptive organization. And they do that by applying the 4 pillars. Okay, so let's get into the 4 pillars, because those of us who have a small business, who are entrepreneur, are dying to learn and you know what they are and how we can be successful with them. So the first pillar is, go ahead. Customer centricity. We have to be obsessed over customer experience. Okay, so yeah, tell us a bit more about that. So it's always about finding ways to create more value for our customers. One of my favorite examples, I actually have it sitting here in front of me. I'm going to show you. I have 2 boxes that I ordered recently. I'm going to be bringing them to New York to an event I'm doing. So this is the first box. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what's in there in a second. And this one is the box I ordered from Amazon. And you can see it has the Amazon Prime and Echo tape. It's the custom branded tape. And this time they were promoting something with Revlon. Okay. Okay. But inside, there's the exact same products. Now, I ordered them from a online toy store and one from Amazon. Identical products. One I got a week earlier than the other, one from Amazon. I paid half the price once you include the shipping and all of that. And the biggest difference is the tape that Amazon uses, my 8-year-old can open up by hand. Okay? It's sort of like a paper. It's sticky, so it holds well, but it's very easy to rip. The other one is a vinyl tape. Without a scissor or a knife, there's no way to really open it, or it has to be very strong. Not going to be able to open it. And they're toys, right? Inside. There's a toy inside. Now, when you open up the boxes, you're going to find a Rubik's Cube. Okay. But here's the difference. Jeff Bezos believes that when you deliver a product, it doesn't end when it comes to your door. It ends when you're finally experiencing it, right? That way you can leave a review online if you think about it that perspective. What's going to make you give a 5-star review? So the difference is, when I open up the box from the other toy seller, it's in one of those plastic clamshells that you have to, you can't open by hand. The one from Amazon is what's called frustration-free packaging. Right. It's in a little cardboard box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these to the stage, and I'm going to let 2 people compete against each other to open it. And one of them, 30 seconds later, is going to be playing with the Rubik's Cube. The other one's going to still be fighting with it. Right. And that's the difference of obsession. There's someone at Amazon whose job it is just to worry how sticky this tape is and that it's easy enough to open. And every other retailer is like, okay, let's get some boxes and we'll take tape and close and we'll ship them. But Amazon goes that extra step further and saying, okay, how do I make sure when you open it, the experience is great as well? And so this applies to everybody. I have a friend of mine who runs a donut factory, right? He makes donuts, nothing fancy. There are, what, tens of thousands of donut makers in the world? What's his big differentiator? He's growing like crazy. He's about to open up 4 new stores. He's in a little place in Tampa, Florida. And he's exploded both on social media and obviously in his sales, because when customers walk in, they order their donuts, they're made fresh on the spot, but the people who make the donuts, what he's taken care of is every single one has to look so beautiful, so perfect, because he's imagining they're going to want to photograph it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google, on Yelp, whatever it is. And because of that, he's had that tremendous word of mouth growth because people love to share what it looks like. Because not only does it taste good, because it's a donut, not very hard to make fried dough taste good, right? But to make it also look beautiful and deliver it in such a way with a great attitude makes people say, wow, you've added more value than the standard donut maker. This is not terribly hard, but it's paying attention to the little details.
Okay, so in this first pillar, I believe that this is where, I mean, first of all, we all need to obviously be our customers and really try to experience what, you know, our customers are going to be experiencing. And then I don't know if it goes in this pillar, but it seems to me that this is when you start to also express your what you believe in, right? Because there's this whole part in the book about, you know, you have to really, it's one thing to care about your customer, but it's also another thing to actually express it and
yes.
act it, yeah?
Correct. You know, a great example of this, and we talk about this, you know, a lot of people have been big fans of Simon Sinek over the last couple of years when he talked about the value of why. And we take it a little step further, because actually if you listen to his presentation, he actually used the word believe many more times than he used the word why. And beliefs, like you said, express action. And so I have an example that I use where my daughter, who's 15 years old, went to a store to get these organic, homemade facial masks and bath bombs. And inside the store, there's this big sign that says, we believe, and it has like 10 different things. And the last one says, we believe the customer is right. So about a month and a half ago, she goes with one of her friends to buy a facial mask. And they're about to get home. And that might be a 20-minute drive, okay? She said, I want to open it up. I want to smell it. She just loves the smell of them. And she opens it up and she looks at it and she's like, wait, it looks like someone put their fingers in it. And so she felt very uncomfortable. So she called the store up and the store said, oh, no problem. Just bring it back. We'll return it, no problem. Sounds great. So they turn around. They drive back the other 15 minutes back to the store. They get there and the associate tells them, oh, no, I'm sorry. We can't return this. That's just the way it is. And of course, she felt very upset because, I mean, if I showed you a picture of it, you wouldn't want to put it on your face knowing that maybe someone put their fingers in it, right?
Yes.
Because all the other times it comes in, it comes packed real nicely and tight. So I get on Twitter for her. I contact the company. They send her, a gift certificate for a new one. But it shouldn't come to that, right? Because if they truly believe the customer is right, and the customer just bought it, I mean, like minutes ago, and they're telling you, hey, this doesn't look right, there should be no questions whether to return it or not, especially you're talking about, 50 to 60 cents worth of ingredients, maybe $1.50 altogether, and they're charging $10 for it. You take it back, and you do what you need to do with it, and you give the customer a new one. And that's the difference between saying you believe something, right, and marketing your beliefs versus acting them. Right. And people know the difference, and they want to interact with brands that actually show they believe in what they say. And I mean, we can look at that from the United Airlines incident, right? Now they say, okay, we're gonna take better care of our customers. but we see the way they speak. We see the way they act. It's not in the heart of at least the current CEO, right, that they truly care about their customers.
So, because we're talking a lot about big brands, like for those of us who have really small businesses, I mean, when I read the book and I was like, okay, maybe I should really express on my site or more like in an audible way what I believe in. But then I went like, to be honest with you, I went like, I'm scared because I'm a really small business. If all of a sudden I say all these nice things that I truly believe in, but practically, will I be able to actually, do it? So what advice do you have for us, like?
Well, so, I mean, in the book, we share several great examples. One of them, for example, is from Ryan Deiss from Digital Marketer. And you can actually go online and you can actually see the video that his team put together on their beliefs. What you're trying to do with the beliefs, with the we believe, is find your tribe, right? It's the same thing Seth Godin talked about many years ago, right? We need to have people identify with who we are and who we believe with, and that's how you really truly generate a great community. Another great example is my friend Chris Brogan. I love what he's doing with opening up about his depression and working with his depression, because that's part of who he is. That's part of his tribe, and either you respect him for that or you don't. Yeah. And I think what I've seen is certain people get much closer to him because of it, and other people like, I don't know. But he's truly identifying his tribe this way. Yeah. And small business or not, you know what? It's going to be very hard today to grow massive businesses like we had years ago when we had Walmart and Sears and JCPenney and Target, and they all kind of look the same. All these big department stores. The world has changed. Just like media, where we used to have just a handful of core movie studios and TV stations that controlled everything. Today, we know we can get it from millions of different places, and we're going to have the same thing in retail and in business. We're going to have our niches, and we're going to want to work with the people that we relate to the best, and we want to bond with them as much as possible. And that's what true branding really is about: is letting people find a way to bond with you. What is it makes you so unique that lets you bond with who you are?
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so now we'll move on to the second pillar, which is. Yep. What is it?
A culture of innovation, right? So I'm going to come back to the donut store. One of the things he likes to do is every month he invents a new recipe, and he tests it out. And some are great, and some not so great, so they don't sell so well. He thinks that, they may taste good, but they don't sell so well, so they go away. If they sell well, when he redoes his menu, he adds in the new ones. And you just keep testing new things until you see, okay, what is it that the customers actually respond to? So what you're doing here is you're not just innovating for the sake of being different. You're innovating because you're using the data and the reality of your customers' data. Do they love this or not? Is it helping me get my 5 stars or not? And then incorporating that into your business because you're so obsessing over their experience.
Right. So here again, we're talking about culture of innovation, but still it is all centered around the customer. And yeah. I want to say something here that is really important, I think, is the fact that in the book it talks about how Jeff Bezos, Amazon, I think it was in 2004, had like 200 experiments at the same time. And they have this culture, and more we hear about this in big companies, about it's okay to fail. Like if you don't fail, you're not going to win. So as a small business, we are afraid to try things because 1, we don't have time, 2, we don't have money, and 3, we're afraid to fail in public. So
yeah, so it's interesting. So one of the things is, I also coach my son. He's an athlete. He plays baseball. He plays basketball. And I think, we can take a lesson from sports, right? If for example, you want to practice like Steph Curry, who's become one of the most phenomenal basketball players in history, right?
Because I mean, maybe people in France know this guy, but like, I don't know if he's too American or like, maybe we should take him.
Well, I'll get you to a few others.
Okay.
We'll keep going. But what he's done is he's changed the game of basketball by changing how far he keeps shooting. But you know what? He didn't always get them in when he was younger. He made lots and lots and lots of mistakes, and he learned from each one. So you get feedback every time you shoot a basketball, or if you're playing football, right, and you kick the ball wrong, right, it doesn't go to the goal, it doesn't have the right curve to the shot. You learn from the mistakes. And that learning is not a failure, it's a learning. And that's the difference between the cultures that spend a lot of time innovating and optimizing. They're never afraid to fail because they know that's a learning. That's one way, like Thomas Edison talked about inventing the light bulb, right? It's not that it took him 10,000 tries. He found 10,000 ways it didn't work, right? And so that's what you have to start realizing. It's okay to fail. I mean, you know, you don't want to do crazy things. You know, obviously as you grow, you can do new things. But look, Amazon's had big failures as well, right? They put out a smartphone. It didn't do well at all. They lost a ton of money on it. Everyone's going to fail. The question is, are we willing to fail? And here's the key, because what we're going to try is something that we believe in the long term will provide extra value to the customer.
That's where I want to get, exactly. So very good transition or whatever. I want to talk about the marshmallow test, and you're going to explain us what it is and how it's the same in business. And don't forget also to talk about all the money into innovation for long-term results and not short-term.
So there was an experiment several years ago where they put kids in a room and they put a marshmallow in front of them, and they basically wanted to see whether they can hold off from eating it right away or whether they needed that immediate gratification. And you know what they found out is that people who don't need immediate gratification were the ones who are more successful later on in life, right? And same thing, I've had this hypothesis about athletes for a very long time. The best athletes in the world are not about always having immediate success. They find gratification in the practice of getting good, right? The practice gives them that excitement and that high because they know, again, long term, I'm getting better. I'm going to find a better way to do this the next time. I'm going to be able to duplicate it. And so, you know, the problem that we have in a lot of business, especially online businesses, is that you send out an email or you put up an ad and immediately you can see click, 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 but. And so people get so focused in on short-term, quick, immediate results that they forget we're trying to build a bond, okay? This is like developing a real relationship with someone. It's not like, you know, we meet on the app, okay, we're getting married tomorrow. And that's the way everyone behaves, right? You have to have romance. You need to learn about each other and engage each other. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to be better. And it's developing, and it's the act of the relationship building where all that value is actually created. And that's where people have to invest so that they realize that, you know what, you're not going to be able to take the person out on one date. You've got to plan for dates for the next few years.
Right, very nice metaphor. Okay, so let's go on to the third pillar.
Which is corporate agility, right? Because it's one thing to have a lot of great ideas for innovation, but if you actually can't act on them, then they're just ideas. They're right, they're paper and their pen. They don't really do anything for you. So you need a organization that knows how to act things. One of my favorite examples of this on Amazon is the day Michael Jackson passed away, they changed their whole MP3 store within 2 hours. 2 hours. And you think about that, you know, in a medium-sized company, most people can't even call a meeting in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right? But they can change their whole store. And so it's having the systems and the processes and the authority for people in your organization to take action, right? It's to be action predisposed, not idea predisposed, right?
Okay, so how would that translate for small business or an entrepreneur?
Right. So if a small business is actually much easier than for bigger businesses, right? In bigger businesses, you usually have a lot of layers of management and you have to get approval from everybody and everybody has to copy each other on email. In a small business, you should all be communicating with one another. Everyone says, yep, let's go. And so they all go and they act, right? And you put the resources together and you figure out how to do things. And what I love about entrepreneurs is they become jacks of all trades, they say, right? They learn how to do a little bit of everything. And it's okay if it's not perfect. Getting it done is better than not doing it at all. right? And the enemy of great is perfection. Okay? We don't need to be perfect. Get it out there because the next pillar will get it perfect.
All right. So let's move on to the fourth. Are we on the fourth already?
Yeah, that's which is this final pill, which is the continuous optimization. Good enough is good enough. Now we'll use processes to keep testing and experimenting and using data to make it better and better and better and better. So what we do when we have this great idea is we say, okay, I think it's a great idea to combine, I don't know, marshmallows and bacon on a donut. Maybe, maybe not, right? People like the sweet and the salt. Maybe, okay. So we're going to make a marshmallow bacon donut. So the next day we go ahead, someone makes a batch of it, they try it out. We try it like, nah, too salty. Oh, no, this one's too sweet. And so you just keep refining the recipe over time until you find that perfect mix. They're like, ah, yes, everybody loves it because the combination makes so much sense. By the way, now you know I'm going to have to go call my friends when we're done and tell them, have you ever tried a marshmallow and bacon donut?
Yeah, maybe he's going to become really, really rich with your idea. Okay, so we've really quickly, briefly covered these 4 pillars because what I want is people to go and read the book because it's really an entertaining book, which brings me to another thing that it says in the book about the success of books and the success of businesses. So I'll let you explain us this.
Well, it's not only books, but it's all, any advertisements you want to do, any content you create. You always have to focus in on having these 4 things. The 4 things really is what makes it work. Is you need to have the big idea. What is it you're trying to get across? And if you've read some of my other books, that big idea really is for the assertive personality type, person who's a very quick business decision maker. If you're going to meet with Jeff Bezos, you've got about 7 to 8 seconds to tell him exactly why this should be of interest to him. And if not, he's gone. Big idea. The next thing you need to do is you need to give the entertainment, right? No one wants to read something that's boring and dry and just, so find a way to make it entertaining for people, right? That's the more spontaneous personality types. They're not going to engage unless it's a lot of fun. The third one is you need to have the nuts and bolts, right? And I think this is where a lot of the content fails.
The recipe,
the real details about why it works, all the how-to information. This is for the more methodical type personality that really needs those details to, okay, I got the big picture, but how does it connect to my world? And so you really need to give them the nuts and bolts. And lastly, you need to have the hope, right? The hope that it sounds great for everybody else, but how do I do it? How do I do it if I'm an online marketer who sells courses for teaching music? Okay, well, what hope are you going to provide at the end of it, right? And how do I know that that person reading that, when they read the book and be like, oh, wow, I can experiment with this, I can do that. Oh, yes, this works for me too. And so when you put all those 4 together, so you have the big idea, the nuts and bolts, the entertainment, and the hope, it's the recipe for making a best-selling piece of content, a best-selling ad, a best-selling book, a best-selling presentation.
Beautiful. Last question before we finish. I'm going out a little bit of the book, but there are really things that interest that is really interesting for entrepreneurs and online marketers, and there's a lot of these people who watch us. So I want to talk about the sales funnel, because now, sales funnels here, some sales funnel there, all there is now is like, you got to do your sales funnel. And I like in your book, in this one, by the way, the last one, basically you're talking a little bit about this creating a sales funnel. I'm just going to read it. And it says, the sales funnel is a flow metaphor. Funnels work because of an invisible force called gravity, but there's no force compelling your customer to move through your sales funnel. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so here I have a cup of water. If I were to put a funnel at the top of it, right, or like the straw, and in order to get the water to go into the cup, gravity is what pulls it into the cup. The problem is when we're dealing with someone buying something online or offline, there's no gravity pulling them to buy something. They have a want, a need, a desire, And either it's their own internal momentum or something you've done to fuel their momentum that makes them get closer. It's more like magnetism than gravity in some ways. And so you have to think, how do I keep moving them step by step closer through the experience? And any little detail off can turn them off. And I'll give you a great example. I've stayed at many hotels throughout my career. I do a lot of public speaking. I probably spend, 40, 50 nights a year at a hotel. But just last week, I was at a conference, and I went to a Ritz-Carlton, which is known for such great experiences. But as soon as I walked in there, they told me, "Oh, sir, I'm sorry. Our network is down. I can't check you in. But here's a card. You can have a free drink at the bar, and you can go to the spa." But I said, "I'm here for a conference. I just want to go in there. I want to hang up my shirt so that my shirt is, nice and clean for the next day." No response from them about that. Took over 2 hours until I had to send a tweet to the corporate Ritz-Carlton, and then I got a phone call that my room was finally ready. Yeah. Now, this is the Ritz-Carlton. We expect the best of the best. Now, if this was a cheap little motel, okay, it happens. But for someone like a Ritz-Carlton or a Marriott or a Hilton or a Westin or any of the big brands, you have to assume that your computers can go out. Right? It happens all the time to any of us.
Option B.
Yeah. And so there's no excuse to not have a physical copy to say, "Hey, you knew I was coming from weeks ago. I'm part of the conference. I was invited there as a representative for them. You could have found, and especially Ritz-Carlton, you could have found out my itinerary. You could have known exactly when I was coming. And you could have had someone who said, 'Hey, you know what? Why don't you go to the conference room? We'll take your shirt up and put it into your room.'" And even if the room wasn't ready, they could have had someone hang it up, iron it. They could have made the experience so much better because they took care of that one little detail, right? And what happens is now my next experience with the Ritz-Carlton is, is it going to be as smooth? Am I going to be as motivated to go there because they're going to worry about my every detail? Or is it just like every other hotel now?
Right. So basically, it's a offline funnel you were talking about.
Correct.
And offline, online, at every step of the way, you've got to take these 4 pillars, even in your sales funnels, right?
Correct.
Because we tend to think really like, I built a funnel and God, it's not working, as if like the funnel is magically working by itself, That's exactly it. And we have to understand every little detail there is going to matter. And you've got to pay attention to, how you sign things, how you write things, how you smile if you share a video. Every detail is going to matter. What's in the background? As I commented to you before, I love the brick wall in your background. It makes you feel like you're in a nice, comfortable environment. Pink Floyd.
Yeah, but it's the details that matter, right? And I think when people start realizing that it's the details, like, and we talked about in the We Believe, right? And the why, those actions pull out from those details, and those little actions, those micro actions, create the macro actions that you want of a funnel. And so when you take care of that and you work on developing that relationship, that bonding between you and your customer, that's when you get results. It's not because you create a magical funnel that links this to that, to that, to that things work.
Yeah. You see, like to make the my English, I haven't speaking English in like a long time, and I'm not so fluent anymore. So
you're doing wonderful.
What I'm saying is, like, what I really got from this book as a small business owner, entrepreneur, is like, really basically, again and again, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about them. Forget yourself. Like, you're not in there to show how good you are. You're in there to make their life better and to give them hope, which is something that I took from your book.
One of my favorite quotes from Jeff Bezos ever was he was fighting with the book publishers. This is very, very early on, about putting reviews up on the website. Now, today, more than 50% of product searches start with an Amazon review.
Amazing.
Okay. But back then, the publishers were saying, no, you can't put up reviews because people won't buy these books. And he's like, no, you don't understand. We are not in the business of selling books. We are in the business of helping customers buy books. He was thinking how Amazon, the platform, could be of service to his customers. And that's our job as entrepreneurs. How can we be of service, truly of service, to our customers? How do we help them? How do we innovate for them to make their lives easier, to save them time? How do we act better so that our processes can streamline costs and efficiencies? How can we continue to improve it so that we can make more money and they can save more money, right? And it all starts by that push on that first pillar of customer obsession.
Thank you, Bryan. It's a great interview. I just want to mention your brother because Jeffrey, your brother, and you've been working together for many years, and you co-authored the book with him, and all your books, by the way, I think, right?
Yes, we have co-authored with him, yep.
Okay, so just want to, say hi to Jeffrey if he's going to see this. Okay, beautiful. So again, I want to, the name of the book is called, tell us where we can find it. And
yeah, it's Be Like Amazon, even a lemonade stand can do it. Right now it's only available as Kindle, but the first week of July it'll also be available as a hardcover book, and it'll be available in audiobook format as well, so you can listen to it.
Okay, and for people who want to know more about you, like you have a website, and I just want to mention really briefly because we don't have time to say it all, but you have a process that is called the buyer's legend. And again, this could be another interview, but it's all about telling the story of your customer, which comes back to, be customer centric. So for people who want to also go and check this out, tell us all the places.
They can well, first of all, they can find me at bryaneisenberg.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, obviously. I'm pretty much everywhere. But also buyerlegends.com is where my brother and I work together, and we blogging about the process. And this is a process we worked on. We've been refining since basically 2006 when we wrote a book, Waiting for Your Cat to Bark, but we've improved on it and made it more agile and easier for people to work with. And there's all kinds of examples on there, as well as the Be Like Amazon website, where they can find more about the book and when it's available and all that.
Okay, merci beaucoup, Bryan.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to speak really slowly. J'espère que le livre va être traduit en français. En tout cas, à très bientôt et mille merci d'avoir été là. Bye bye.
Bye.